The Force of Others, a Star Wars podcast.
Hello there, and welcome to The Force of Others. I'm Matt Boitner.
And I'm Zachary Owen Turner, and today we're going to talk about Kathleen Kennedy news, Andor Season 2 finale being the #1 on the Nielsen charts, and then we're going to head into the Canon Comics Corner and talk about the Rise of Skywalker comic series, as well as Jedi Knights #4. But before we get to all of that, we're going to go into the mailbag with Dustin Potter. He has a question for us. Matt, how did Andor change Rogue One for you?
I did a bad job with this one because I didn't really... I've thought a lot about the news this week, and I didn't really think about this question. So, the bad podcast host. But it kind of didn't. It kind of reinforced some of the way that I see the movie. The biggest thing that it kind of made it work less for me in a way.
Oh, really?
And both of these shows are great, but to me... I don't necessarily see the Cassian on Andor being the same guy that would kill Tivik at the beginning of the movie. You know what I mean? Like, Cassian is so resistant to that type of thing on the show. It took me out of it. Just kind of watching Rogue One again when he kills Tivik at the beginning. You know what I mean? And then his speech to Jyn about, like, we've all done terrible things for the rebellion. I was like, well, I mean, you killed Tivik, but... like, what else? I mean, I guess he had to say goodbye to Bix. The one thing that does hit with so much more emotion, obviously, is the Bix of it all. Yeah. The Bix and the unnamed child. Marva, Cassian, Brasso, Luthen Rail. Hey, B2 lives! That's the shirt that we need to make. B2 Emo lives. But I guess it's just specifically the beginning of it doesn't really fit for me personally. But Cassian's passing is so much more tragic. And what really hits was, and what really improves it, I should say, is the healer telling Andor that he has a destiny, that he is a messenger, and that obviously in headcanon forever now, not even headcanon, they spelled it out for you if you're paying attention, when Jyn asks Cassian, after they've just sent the plans, like, is anyone listening? And he just says, I know they are. Someone is. He's filling in that moment with the healer. She told him, you're going to deliver a message, right? And he knows that's what it is. At least that's the way that I headcanon it. Yeah. So, but what about you, dog?
Yeah, so I watched it shortly after finishing Andor Season 2, and for me, it kind of makes Jyn not the main character.
Yeah.
It kind of takes the movie from her vehicle to his, which is really interesting that a show can, like, fully change your perspective on a movie that you've seen for so long. But at the same time, you're like, well, it was supposed to be Jyn's movie, but now it just feels like Cassian's movie. But there are certain things, it definitely adds more context to it. I definitely, anytime Mon Mothma's on screen now, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm a little bit more dialed in. But yeah, it just adds color. It's interesting because Rogue One, the first time I watched it, I totally picked up romantic vibes between Andor and Jyn, especially at the end there, which I know Cassian said, or not Cassian, Diego Luna said that, it was never meant to be romantic, but it feels romantic.
Yeah.
And then now you're like, ooh, okay, well, I hope it's not romantic, because you got a kid, my guy. But I guess they are broken up at that point. I don't know. But yeah, it just adds more color to it. It kind of makes it feel more like his movie than it does hers, which I think is actually kind of a disservice. But, I still love the movie, so...
Well, and that's also what I was going to say. The biggest way that it changed Rogue One for me, it makes me want an Urso series.
Yeah.
Right? Not solely about Jyn either. Give me the Galen story. We have that in
Catalyst.
I was going to say, we have that in the novel Catalyst, but you could get into that story and you could show we've seen bits and pieces of the Urso family story in Rebel Rising, that's the Jyn novel, and in Catalyst, obviously, it's the Galen and Krennic novel, essentially.
Yeah.
But I just, make that show.
Yeah.
But okay, we did it. Thanks
did
for the question, Dustin. Go ahead.
Thanks, Dustin. If you would like to email us your questions, you can do so at forceofothersradio@gmail.com. We want to hear from you. The show is supposed to be about hearing different perspectives on Star Wars, so please reach out, and maybe we'll even have you on the show. We have a couple of interviews coming up shortly in the next month, so we're going to get back into that format. But before we get to more of that format and more of what we're doing today, Matt, how was your week, and how was your Star Wars week?
So I had a pretty cool real-life week, just in terms of my work life. This last week, on June 16th, that was the 50th anniversary of the Granbury Opera House opening.
Nice.
If you're new to the show, I work for a community theater company called the Granbury Theater Company, and we had 50 years of the Opera House being open as a theater. And it was cool that on that day, I was having auditions for my Theater Academy summer camp, and so I had about 100 kids moving in and out of our academy here, auditioning to be in Finding Nemo Jr. And so it was just cool, just to be a small part of the history of this theater company. Was very, very gratifying and very, very fun. And then as for how Star Wars found me, there were several ways. It didn't really find me necessarily so much as I was scrolling the internet and found news that I did not expect. But one could affect a trip that we are going to have in a couple years. Longtime listeners know that we are going to Rebel ScumCon August 8th and 10th at the Frisco Conference Center. Longtime listeners also know that we did not go to Star Wars Celebration this year because that's expensive and was in Japan. Yeah. We are, however, planning to go to some place that might be just as expensive. Star Wars Celebration 2027 in L.A., right? The 50th anniversary of Star Wars. I'm gonna, if I have to walk, I will be there. We're gonna try to be there. But what also is gonna try to be there, and this was news to me, the George Lucas Museum of Narrative Art, which is something that's been coming for about 10 years, is I saw a story they are officially planning on opening in L.A. in 2027. Wow. So I would wager they are going to move mountains to try and get that museum open for the 50th anniversary of Star Wars. You know, as much as all artists don't want to be connected to their most popular thing, George Lucas will always be the guy that made Star Wars, and it would make a lot of fun sense, to me at least, to open that museum on the 50th anniversary of that franchise. And that could be pretty cool if not only are we at Star Wars Celebration, we also rake over the preposterous amounts of money to go to the George Lucas Museum of Narrative Art. Made me very excited. As for the other big Star Wars adventure that I had in my life, I finished Star Wars Outlaws, and I want to have a deep dive conversation on that, but I'm going to save it till after Zach talks about his weeks and his Star Wars weeks, because I want to get his input on that. But Zach, how about you?
Yeah, I had a really good week. I actually took some vacation days, and Kai and I went out. So her favorite artist is Frank Frazetta, which if you don't know Frank Frazetta, he is the sci-fi fantasy painter. Especially he did Buck Rogers back in the day, starting in comics, and then moved on to like these big, beautiful oil paintings that were, Conan the Barbarian, Mothman. He has like a whole slew of like monsters and cryptids, and then he has a whole slew of like death dealers. One of his like reoccurring guys that's like this big D&D-esque, barbarian man. But he has been a influence on any sci-fi since, for the last 100 years. He is such a great artist, and his museum is just a short drive from New York City. Cool. So we drove out to the East Poconos, and it is on his plot of land that he lived on his whole life once he moved there. Crazy thing is, once he moved there, he never left. So in this museum are pictures of him and Sylvester Stallone, him and Clint Eastwood, him and George Lucas as well. I saw George Lucas's handwriting this weekend.
Cool.
Because there was a letter from George to Frank Frazetta's wife, thanking her for a piece of art that he bought, because George Lucas has said before, there is no Star Wars without Frank Frazetta. And walking through this museum, you're like, oh, yeah, I see it. Oh, yep. If you look up the Queen of Egypt that Frank Frazetta did, that was actually the inspiration for Princess Leia's Hut Slayer outfit in Return of the Jedi. He told the costume department to go and look at that piece and, pull inspiration from that. And when you look at it, you're like, yeah, I see it. But it was really great. It's run by his son and his grandchildren. And so we got a tour with Frank Frazetta's granddaughter. Frank Frazetta unfortunately passed away in 2010. And she'd be like, yeah, this is my grandma. This is my grandpa. Like, he used her as a model for a lot of these things, and himself as well. And you see himself in a lot, especially like the John Carter of Mars, where he's like running over with the sword. It's him. You're like, yeah, you just threw yourself in there. Which, like, what artist doesn't? Yeah. But the other cool thing is they had all of these 1970s prints. So Ellie, his wife, recreated and printed his paintings on linen, and she did it many times because she wanted to get it as close to the originals, both in like size and color. And so we got these beautiful prints, and if you spent so much, they give you a free thing. And then being Kai's birthday, she got a free pin. And then we made friends with Frank Frazetta's son, and we were talking about cryptids, and he brings out another print. And so we got a bunch of extras. But now I have this beautiful, if I can show it, art piece up on my wall. Here, cool. I can actually take this off and show it a little bit better. Maybe. It might be sideways now for you.
Yeah.
But we'll see. But yeah, it's I think it's called The Wanderer, or it's Stranded. No, it's called Stranded. And it's a dude hanging out with some aliens. And it's a sister piece to one where I think the other one is called like Return Next Saturday or something like that. But basically it's one is him in like space uniform waiting, and then this one is no clothes, everything is like come off because he's been waiting so long. But it was really beautiful and really cool. I will on the Instagram pop up the Queen of Egypt as a inspiration piece, or maybe we'll clip a video of this to talk about it. But yeah, it's really cool. If you don't know who Frank Frazetta is, go look him up. Really cool art. And that was the main way that it found me. Just seeing George Lucas with the with Frank Frazetta holding up a piece of art. He probably they think that he owns the current Mothman, which is this like beautiful like purple and gray and big wings and two people like but it was really cool. And then the other way it found me is I finished Star Wars Outlaws DLC with Andor Naka. And I mean, if we're gonna talk about Outlaws now, I gotta say the second DLC I was a little disappointed. The first DLC I really loved. It's Lando, it's espionage, it's cards, it's casinos. This one was supposed to be a big piratey adventure, but it didn't feel too piratey. It felt more Raider-ish, and I guess Raiders are pirates, but I don't know. It ends not really having told much of a story except to like trust your friends, which was heartfelt and nice, but at the same time I was like, it was kind of a letdown for me. But as far as the whole game goes, I really enjoyed that game, so I would love to hear your thoughts on it.
Well, and so I still haven't played the DLCs yet, and it was funny, I was texting Zach yesterday. I was like, okay, I played the game. How do I play the DLC? He said it should show up. I was like, I don't know what you're talking about.
Because like a mission journal, like in your journals.
Yeah.
The main mission.
Because I bought the Lando one. Well, is it high stakes roller?
You download it? Yes.
Then I have it. Never mind. Or high stakes showdown. Is that what it's called?
I think you have to finish that one first because you have to meet Lando and go through that whole thing, and then because it's hey, we worked together. Now I'm going to bring you in on another job.
All right. Okay, that checks out. Okay, well, then that makes sense. But
you got
okay.
a lot of great Lando content.
Yeah, I'm so excited. Well, and when he showed up in the game, and oh, by the way, huge spoilers. We're gonna spoil this game. Yeah. It's been out for
a while,
10 months now, or something like that. But when Lando showed up, I was like, oh! And I was so excited because I had forgotten that he showed up in the actual game. And then it was funny. I had a small moment of anger. I was like, wait, I can't play Sabacc with him? What? This sucks! Okay, anyway. I'm sure it's coming. I'm sure they wanted to save that for the DLC. But okay, so always positives first. Favorite missions, just Sabacc in general. So fun. Yeah. The mission inside a dead Sarlacc was so cool. Yeah, I just thought that was so fun.
I forgot about that.
My favorite mission, I think, from the whole game is rescuing Bosnock from the Imperial Station. Bosnock it's the same alien species from Solo: A Star Wars Story, where it's a little green fish man basically in a bowl. It's fishbowl alien. I'll put a picture below, and if you're listening, Google it. But I just thought the way that he was trash talking you, it felt like something out of an Indiana Jones movie. It was pure fun. Another silly side mission I loved, Gatling gun against an Imperial convoy, where it's you and like a gun master just with these Gatling guns raining hellfire down on stormtroopers was very, very fun. And every time you sneak into an Imperial facility, absolutely loved it. Never an experience I've had in gaming before. Thought it was so fun. And
that
so
Imperial outfit too. I don't know if you got it in the game.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Such a great...
and towards the end when you get to be a stormtrooper, I was just like, this is scratching an itch I didn't realize that I hadn't scratched before in a Star Wars game.
You don't see me, I'm in armor. You don't see me, and now, ha.
Yeah, and it's tying back into Star Wars Episode 4, putting on a stormtrooper outfit. It's good stuff. But again, we are not purely positive on this show. When this game is awesome, it's awesome. When it's not, I really, really, really did not like it. I'm going to be honest. I found lots of bugs. And then this is a kind of a whine about video games in general, I suppose. But there were lots of unavoidable railroading events, which kind of really pulled me out of the RPG element of the game.
Yeah.
I always bump up against two things that this game did. One where I'm stealthing and everything's going fine until I go around a corner and a stormtrooper sees me, and now I'm captured and can't do anything about it. I was like, what are you talking about? Why can't I just hit him? There's nobody else in this room. That's weird. What do you mean? But the other thing that really, really bothers me, and I know I'm getting on my whiny soapbox, everybody, but when there's a new camera angle or new thing that the game expects you to do that you have never done before to get through a boss battle, instead of just doing the things that you've already been doing, but you're fighting a more difficult enemy, and when that's why I'm dying, drives me nuts. I paused the game and set it down and walked away for several days after in the Rancor fight. Because I was dying so many times. I got through all of it until the moment where you're supposed to select the thing up on the second level for Nyx to go open.
Yeah.
And the reason I was dying is I would get to cover, and then it would take forever to get my cursor to click the thing for him to do it because it was trying to select everything else. And I was like, no, that over there. I know what I'm supposed to do. Just let me do it already. And then I'd die. And I was like, okay. And so I would pause it and go be an adult for like several days. It's like, all right, I'm going to accept that this is frustrating. And it drives me nuts when I'm dying, not because it's difficult, but because it's clunky. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And at the end of the day, I also come from an era, we both do, where games were never God mode. They were incredibly difficult all the time. And platforming was all video games was. But, so I guess it's just, it takes me in and out of those expectations. But overall, I thought the story, exactly. I thought the story was cool. I like that you do not get a reconciliation with Rico, because Rico is a crap parent. And I liked that there was forgiveness without reconciliation.
Yeah.
I thought that was good. It was a good choice. The only thing that I didn't like about the story was I didn't give a crap about Jalen and his brother. The ND5 of it was cool, but when they were having these big emotional monologues, I was like, bro, I don't care about you guys. Like, can we do something else? Or can I just like skip this?
Yeah.
Whatever. But the Vader scene, so fun. So
best.
cool. And so happy they did not try to do anything where K-Vess escapes Darth Vader.
Yeah.
Let's not.
She was like, nope.
It's enough in the Jedi games that Vader is something to run from.
Yeah.
Not something to fight. But had Vader showed up here, I take it back. Other big I loved infiltrating Jabba's palace.
Yeah.
Infiltrating Jabba's palace to save Nix was perfect.
Yeah.
Was spot on, chef's kiss, absolute perfection. Loved it. I thought the Rancor battle was clunky, but everything else, so cool.
It's so well done in a way where you're like, I know this place like the back of my hand, but I'm still also, I don't know all of it. You're like, oh, I'm in the kitchen, it's cool. Oh, I know I'm near the place where you enter, and then going through the vents and seeing Boba Fett, you're like, okay, cool, we're in this era.
Yeah.
And then you come into the palace and you see Han Solo and you're like, oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
It's great. It's just great.
Yeah.
But,
so the big question, I don't think all of the hate is justified.
No.
Once it gets to crazy degrees, but I do think some of it is warranted.
Yeah.
It feels like a rushed game. Like there was something that happened to me a couple times where I was running from TIE fighters. I had gotten away from them. And I'm in orbit of a planet, and it wasn't letting me land. It was making me go back into the fight. It said, return to the mission, okay? But every time, I would do a big U-turn, fly past the TIE fighters again, fly back to the planet, and it would let me land now. One time, even when they were closer than before. And I know I'm being whiny, but it was just kind of like, come on, man, what do you mean I can't do this? Like, just let, I don't know.
Well, on a positive spin on that
Please.
portion of it,
Sure.
one of my favorite things is to do the Star Wars move where you're like, oh no, TIE fighters, hyperdrive, hyperspace, punch it.
Oh, yeah,
and you're
yeah.
like, and we're out of trouble. And then you hyperspace back, and you're like, and we're all good.
Yeah, that's a good point. Just go to hyperspace. Yeah,
I would go
fair.
to hyperspace so much. Even in the DLC, I'd be like, you know what? I don't want to do this fight.
I'm just going to jump.
Punch it.
That's fair. That's fair. That strategy would probably make more sense. Well, either way, it's all that to say, I did not hate it. Yeah. There was lots of other stuff that I thought was a lot of fun. It's so interesting, though, to me, the first planet, or really the second one, the first full planet, Tashara, felt like the most fleshed out planet. And in a way, Akiva and Tatooine felt very, very small. And just by comparison. Yeah. And I think that's, with Tatooine, I get it. I mean, I don't, but I get it in the sense that it's something that we talk about on the show sometimes, that Star Wars has a canon thing that they're going to be figuring out for forever as long as they continue to try and make everything canon, where you don't want to step on something else's toes. And if you completely map out Tatooine, then everybody expects Tatooine to always be that exact same way.
Yeah.
Right? Anyway. But overall, I do think it is fun. And getting to see the Lars homestead, finding it on my own, was fun. And I did do the thing where I walked out on the dune and I watched the sunset. Cool. And it made my little nerd heart very happy. But my favorite planet in the game is Tashara, far and away.
Yeah.
And that surprised me a lot. I didn't expect that. I figured I'd want to kick it on Tatooine, but nah, Tashara is the move.
Tashara is beautiful too.
Yeah.
Like the landscape of it is really cool.
Yeah.
One of my favorite things about the game is the crime syndicates. Like feeling. Yeah, I ended the game with excellent on every single crime syndicate, and it's funny in the second DLC you pop into an area and it's like a different version of Pikes, and they're like we're gonna attack you, and I was able to be like, do you know who I am? You should ask the person, and they go, "Oh, so sorry, Kves. You're free to go." And I was like,
Nice.
Nice.
It's funny. I was excellent with Crimson Dawn
Yeah.
and good with Hutts, good with Pikes. The Ashigas hate me.
Really? I feel like that was the easiest one.
It might have been because I cared about them the least, so I just chose to do the smallest amount of contract missions with them. I got a question. So at the end of the game,
Yeah.
when Syndicate shows up to help you, Crimson Dawn came for me. Is that who came for you, or did a different Syndicate come to help? I know you finished the game forever ago.
Yeah, I don't remember.
I was just curious if that's something that can change.
Because you meet, what's her name from Solo?
Kira,
yeah.
yeah.
I also, Crimson Dawn was the first one I got excellent with, so
Oh, yeah.
that might have been,
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to live my, it fell. I used to have a Crimson Dawn necklace over here, but I don't know what happened to it.
Well, and that was something that I've talked about on the show before, but I kind of bumped up against a little bit. It was small, but I didn't I thought it was kind of silly how you have a really good rep with a Syndicate, but then if you walk into just the wrong doorway in their territory, they're like, "Hey, no, screw you. We're gonna kill you now." And I was like, well, I don't what. But once I understood, okay, that's just one of the things that's going to happen. There's going to be areas that are restricted. I have to watch for that. Yeah. I was like, oh, okay, heard. Because it was that funky thing where
because in other games they'd just be like, turn around.
Exactly. And they didn't do that. They would just kind of be like, hey, and then start shooting you. And I was like, oh, okay, oh my God, what is happening? Yeah. But it was funny because the game is so programmed to have you sneaking whenever you're in a Syndicate's territory that even when you're on Excellent, she's doing her like stealth walk thing, but you're just having a conversation with guards that you're walking past. I was like, well, that's kind of weird. So anyway, we talked about Star Wars Outlaws a bunch. If you have played it or not, let us know what you think. Overall, I do recommend it. Just for me, go in with tempered expectations. It is ultimately a, in my opinion, kind of slightly rushed version of the game that I have wanted since the first time that I played Red Dead Redemption. Because the whole time I was playing Red Dead Redemption, I was like, I wish this was a Star Wars game. Mm-hmm. I wish this was a Star Wars game where you could pick up random missions and go on bounty hunts and whatever else and just have a Star Wars Western crime game, which in many ways is what this is. And when it was that, I've never had more fun playing a Star Wars game. There were things that really pulled me out of it, but overall, it was fun.
Yeah.
There's worse ways to spend a couple days.
Yeah. I agree. I think when it's really good, it's really, really good. And that makes it worth it for me. So.
Yeah. But okay, so moving into news, this first one's really, really small. But there was a screening of an original print, or close to an original print, of Star Wars Episode 4, A New Hope, back when it was just called Star Wars. Yeah. And Kathleen Kennedy spoke before and after, and I think this was in L.A., I don't think it was at the Chinese theater, but if you know and I'm getting it wrong, let me know in the comments below. But there was a quote from Kathleen Kennedy that I thought was really cool. Just prefacing the movie, she said, I would say that this is the film that everyone starts with when we start talking about story, George's intent, and what it is we're trying to build off of. And so talking about the first Star Wars movie, she says it all starts there. When they're talking about new stories. Zach, what's your thoughts on that?
I mean, I think that's good. Sorry. I think it's great. It makes sense. Like, it's the original. It's the one that worked. It's the one that started everything. Go to the start and then work from there. Especially in the era that they're in, which is like this Mando, slightly OT trilogy-esque era that they're working in mainly. It's like, sure, study what worked and then build from there.
Yeah, I agree. And I've said many times, I think on the show, that like kind of what I always think of as the tone of Star Wars, not that it has to stick to this, but it has to be, in my opinion, similar to Star Wars Episode 4.
Yeah.
Like that's the one that started it all. That's the one that hit the nail on the head with the modern adventure film, and is ultimately responsible for genre content being mainstream like it is today, right? So I think you got to start there. But so that to hear her say that made me very, very happy.
Mm-hmm.
All right, moving right along into some more traditional news. Streaming numbers are always hard to figure out what the actual truth of it is, but according to the Nielsen charts, which is a analytic that gauges minutes viewed, like just watch time, Andor season 2 finale was number 1. It beat out Bluey, so Bluey, suck it. I don't know.
Bluey's a great show.
Hey, Bluey is a phenomenal show. I just thought it was a funny thing to say about such a wonderful children's property. But the actual stories from The Hollywood Reporter, Andor collected 931 million minutes of viewing for the week of May 12th through the 18th. Its final 3 episodes debuted on May 13th. It grew by 101 million minutes week to week and set a series high in viewing time for the 4th consecutive time. One for every week, Disney Plus released episodes of Season 2. Disney Plus, and then, the other top title for the week was Bluey. So 931 million minutes of watch time. I don't have all the numbers handy for all shows, but that is a lot. And so, Zach, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, this is the one property that most people just in general are like, yeah, no, this is great.
Yeah.
You know, it had the buzz. It had, you know, a successful first season. It has the Emmy buzz. It makes sense to me, you know.
Yeah.
Even the people who hate Star Wars watch this and they're like, yeah, you know. And then the people who really love Star Wars watch it and they're like, yeah.
Well, and I mean, the biggest thing that I take out of this, the show's awesome. The biggest thing that I take away is Hollywood always being a system of copycats. There have been people saying for Andor to be number 1 for that week and have that many minutes watched, there have been a lot of people saying that, like, hey, maybe we are going to get more mature Star Wars. And while I think Lucasfilm is open to new tones and stuff, I think the biggest thing that could come from this is that instead of more adult Star Wars, we're going to get more things that drop 3 episodes at once every week.
It's a good business move.
It's a great business move because we got a movie a week for a month. You know, the downside is Andor took everything over for a month and then went away. Yeah. It's not like the way Mando was, where we were talking about Mando season 1 for the whole 8 weeks that show was out. Yeah. Right? Same thing for season 2, slightly less for season 3. But
at the same time, though, it brings in those people who are like, oh, I'm going to wait until the whole series is done and then binge it. But it's like, 3 episodes, I could binge a little bit and then binge a little bit. I've been wanting to watch Murderbot on Apple TV, and I waited, and now I've just watched 7 episodes yesterday. So it's like, you know, sometimes you don't have time, but then you're like, I can like sit down one day and knock out 3 episodes and get a good chunk. So.
Yeah. I think that's the biggest thing that's going to come from this is just that we're going to have more episodes dropping on a week because kind of something that I predicted when they announced this. I was like, I wonder if they're trying to game the system so they can get the most minutes watched. And they did. Yeah. And they were, in my opinion, because we keep in mind, it's not like everybody was watching a 45-minute episode again and again and again and again and again. They were watching 3 50-minute episodes. Yeah. So already, each viewer, if they get all the way through, that's 3 times as many minutes watched as you would for a typical Mando episode, if not more, right? And again, not knocking it, but I think that was a lot of what was happening here. But it, you know, hey, I'm happy for the company. I'm happy for Star Wars because season 1 did not do these numbers at all. No. I think that we've talked about it to death, how we think it was a great idea to release Andor in particular in this way, because if you're going to have a show in an adventure genre, an adventure franchise that is intentionally not adventure-y a lot of the time, the best way to do that is to release more episodes at once. Yeah. So that you get more pacing. Yeah, man. I mean, we'd still be doing Andor for another several weeks had it come out an episode a week. But okay, you got anything else to say on this?
No.
All right. Well, then moving into the headline of the episode, is this better than the movie? The Rise of Skywalker comic adaptation is out. We have read it, and so we're diving into the Canon Comics Corner, and I'm handing it over to you, Zach.
Yeah, welcome to the Canon Comics Corner. I don't know. We're going to come up with a ditty for it eventually. And have like a cool graphic here or something. Whoosh, yeah. Canon Comics Corner. Whoosh.
Hey, we did it.
We did it. If I can make a graphic real quick this week, we might even get it in there.
You'll see. Yeah.
All right. So the Rise of Skywalker comic came out. It's a 5 issues, covering the entire movie. And to me, just overview, it works. Like, it works pretty well for me. You get time where you needed it, and then they also cut some stuff that you didn't. And it moves a little bit quicker than the movie, which is funny because in a movie that feels like 2 movies, you'd think you'd want even more time, but there's just stuff that you don't need. And it's not here. And this has some beautiful visuals. I have taken so many screen grabs from this.
Me too.
I might share this to you. But yeah, no, I mean, it's a beautiful comic. And the stuff that they do some of the stuff is gorgeous. And the things that are missing, you still have the movie in your head, so it almost just works even better. Yeah. But that's my overview. What are your overarching thoughts?
It started reminding me of the Revenge of the Sith novel, in that it is an adaptation that full-on changes things and kind of elevates them, right? This comic is something where we're gonna pick our favorite moments from the movie, crank them all up to 11, and the haters can screw off. All killer, no filler. Go, 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 go. In times, I think that does work to its detriment, but I'll get to that later. But when this comic hits, it hits, and its highs are just as good, if not better, than The Rise of Skywalker. And the lows are just from stuff that I think was cut that it's like, okay, that's even more glaring now. But it is a beautiful comic book adaptation and easily the best comic book adaptation of the prequels the sequels are my opening thoughts. The Last Jedi one's okay. It is the most contemplative of the 3 by far because it had to be. Yeah. And it gives some more context for Luke's thoughts. I do not like the Force Awakens adaptation. Straight up, don't like it at all. Wow. Chuck Wendig seems like a really nice guy. His Star Wars writing is so strange. He takes unlike this one, which cranks up the pacing of a movie, he cranks Force Awakens down to a crazy degree and adds so much dialogue and internal monologue that you don't need, that takes away some of the beauty of that movie, in my opinion. But this one, all killer, no filler. Yeah. Is what I would say.
Yeah. Well, going into likes, do you want to start or should I start?
Go for it. Go for it.
All right. So the training montage is one of my favorites because you actually see Rey training, and the splash page of her and Leia doing the same training on the same planet is beautiful. Yep. And just the whole, you get a little bit more of her mental state from this comic that makes sense, where she's like, oh, I don't know if my friends or my family, I don't know if these people accept me. Like, there's a lot of doubt in her head. And I sent this, I posted this on Instagram, but when Leia's like, what's wrong? And she's like, I don't know, I'm just tired. I'm like, that's such a human response. I say that all the time. And sometimes it's true. You don't know what you're thinking about. You're just like, I'm tired and I don't have the mental capacity to figure it out. Other likes, you get the scenes that you can with Leia because she died. Carrie Fisher died. And so you can't change too much from the movie, but the little bit of extra that you get is beautiful. Her sending her off, and I almost cried of her like being like, I hope I'm here when you're gone. We'll blow that one up.
Hope I'm here when you come back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I hope I'm here when you come back. And it's her, Tantive in the background, and then the silhouette is kind of the Falcon. It's just gorgeous.
Yeah.
It's just beautiful. Rey being like, maybe this is family. Also, not fully sidelining Rose, but giving us context to why she's not there. I mean, the movie sidelined her, but this comic is like, hey, she's still doing stuff. She's actually a big part. Which
she's researching the Exegol fleet the whole time. That's why.
Yeah. Which I don't agree with her being sidelined, but at least,
yeah.
you know, we get a little bit more context, which is nice.
Yeah.
The scene of Kylo rebuilding his helmet is really cool.
Yeah.
And actually kind of works for me now. It's still, I don't love that he rebuilt it, but this adds enough context where I'm like, okay, cool.
Yeah.
You know, it's
the
him,
cracks
like,
in his
rebuilding
mask.
his hate, you know.
Yeah.
Just the little flashback of Jedi Luke and Lando on Pisana. Just seeing Luke in full Jedi, I was like, oh, this is so good. Like, why didn't we get this? The bits of Finn using the Force. He threw the rope at the thing, and it's a throw, but the way he has the hand, it's very Force throw.
Yeah.
And just adding the little bit of more context to being like, hey, I'm Force sensitive, I'm figuring it out, is great. That alone is a reason to pick up the book for me. And then just a bunch of there's a bunch of stuff, but the major one for me is they did the thing that we all wanted. I am all the Jedi.
Yep.
And showing them all.
Yep.
And showing her Force push with Luke and Anakin also right next to her doing it. It's perfect. Perfect. Should have been in the movie. It's perfect. But yeah. It's a beautifully drawn comic. It's done well. It's fast-paced. I literally was like, oh, I can read this. Oh, I'm going to pick up the next one. Oh, I'm ready for the next one. So I read it all in one night. It was great. I love the extra context bits. But yeah, what about you? What are your likes?
Similarly, so many.
Yeah.
The inclusion of Palpatine's speech.
Yeah.
If you don't know, the speech that they reference in the opening crawl of Episode 9 and that is mentioned in the movie as the reason the galaxy knows that or suspects that he's out there was a speech that was recorded and premiered in Fortnite, the week the movie came out. Was not in the film, which is cool. Hey, this is an all-ages franchise, and they were doing the best marketing that they could get to this generation of kids, right? Yeah. So it was a Fortnite event, right? But it also could have been in the film. The Leia Rey splash page might be my favorite thing in the comic, and I am so surprised we have not gotten the story of Leia training Rey.
Yeah,
I'm really. It's just that seems like the obvious tie-in novel. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Especially now that the sequel trilogy is like, it's been 6 years.
Yeah.
Like, I know that there's a Rey movie in pseudo development purgatory right now, and that's why we haven't gotten it. But what are we doing? So, just sticking on likes. I liked that Kylo doesn't make Rey lose focus in training like in the movie does. Her unresolved trauma does. That is a good change. In the movie, it's him touching Vader's mask for reasons and reaching out to her, and she's like, oh, and has the vision. This one, it's just her unresolved trauma. It's got nothing to do with him. I loved the added line for, oh my gosh, the guy that plays a Hobbit in The Lord of the Rings, and he's in Episode 9 as a exposition delivery vehicle. They've turned him into, he plays Pip. But they've turned him into a historian in wider lore. It's not Kino Loy,
not Pip,
but it's
sorry.
Lord of the Rings.
Monaghan.
Yeah, but what's his Star Wars name?
I don't think they ever named him in the movie.
In the movie, they don't, but they do in other stuff.
Beaumont Kin.
Beaumont Kin. So it's Beaumont Kin's extra line after Dark Science cloning, secrets only the Sith knew, to also say, what good is amassing power if death can steal it away? Put that in the movie.
Yeah.
Right? Because what matters about Palpatine's return isn't how he did it, it's why he did it. And it would make sense for someone that selfish to have a contingency plan in place. I know I'm making a big deal out of nothing, but I really, really liked that line. Because everybody gets stuck on somehow Palpatine returned. It's true, and it is awkward, and they don't really... It's a cringy moment. But make the moment about why he did it, not how he did it. Because why he did it is what matters, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But yeah, the splash page of Kylo's mask reforged, and that you can see all the people he hates in the different sections of the mask separated by the cracks. There's so much over-the-top, cranked up to 11 imagery in this comic, and that's the best parts of it. This comic, this movie had so many cool ideas and so many cool things to pull from, but they had to make it in 10 minutes, which is why it feels like a music video Star Wars film. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Rey using the same technique to force heal that she used to heal the Kyber crystal. That was really, really cool.
Nice little extra, too.
Yeah. Now, and I should say, I've read the novel for this movie years ago. If all these things that I'm liking were also in the novel, and this is a joint kind of... If this is a highlight reel of the best parts, I have forgotten. So let me know in the comments below. But her healing was always, using Force Heal was always an easy one for me. She has ancient Jedi texts that the galaxy forgot about.
Yeah. That
Luke found in catacombs that it seemed like even the prequel Jedi didn't even really know about. So that was always an easy one. But I like the idea that just them saying it's the same technique, right?
Yeah.
The splash page for 3PO, all we've done all this time. And you can see that even his simplistic ones and zeros droid brain, just see the image if you put it together. It's even my old friends from the other trilogies. So Rose finding evidence of the Empire having missing ship materials over the last 30 years.
It's cool.
Right? It was just just put that in the movie. It makes sense. Just say it. Like you said, Finn's expanded Force explanation to Janna. Just to say, like you said, I have the Force. I've been figuring out how to try and tell my friends, but I don't... Like, I like that they kept it mysterious in Episode 9, that's what he's talking about.
Yeah.
But it's too mysterious. I didn't even get that they were saying he was Force sensitive until I saw behind-the-scenes interviews, and then I was like, oh, it's a feeling. Okay, that's cool. But I didn't even get it, and I feel like I'm not unintelligent.
Yeah.
You know? There were lots of people that thought that what he wanted to tell Rey when he was sinking through the sand was that he loved her. Yeah. I thought that. I was like, what was he going to tell her? You know, anyway.
Well, the way he yells the whole movie,
Rey! Rey! That's all he is. Anyway, yeah. But I loved the callback to Finn and Han from Force Awakens for him saying, that's not how the Force works, I think.
Yeah.
Cute. Bring that back. Rey literally seeing a vision of Luke and Vader fighting in the throne room. I love
Rey
this.
continuing to get those visions of her on the throne.
Yes,
it's really cool.
Again, that was in there, but but the Force visions in Rise of Skywalker in the movie, they're like Force spasms. It's just like, bah! It's like we're gonna jump scare you with Force, then we're gonna go back to the movie. But Maz to Leia, you are the heart of the Resistance. You are the one who was strong enough to stay.
Yeah.
Obviously, the amount of things they were able to do with Leia was limited by Carrie Fisher's passing. Yeah. And they chose to use her performance and augment it with basically take her face and put it on CGI costumes. And so I liked that way of honoring her, but that's a moment that I wish we had gotten. Including Lando's speech to the core systems. Good change. It's not a great speech, but it's cool to hear a version of what he said.
Yeah.
And similarly, I am all the Jedi will forever be a dumb line to me. But this is a great panel. And I'm annoyed it didn't look like this in the movie.
Yeah.
Forever convinced they were going to do it and decided to bail. Right? For whatever reasons. I think because concept art for Exegol made the planet look red. And I think we've seen evidence of behind the scenes stuff at some point that it was a red tinted planet like the Sith.
Yeah.
And sure, they might have changed it to be blue because Palpatine has blue lightning. But they literally made it the shade of blue Force ghosts and then decided not to show any Force ghosts. I'll forever think that was a last minute let's not take this away from Rey.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's taking it away from Rey if you showed who all she's backed up by. If you let Palpatine see that he's a failure, that show Palpatine that let him see that no matter how hard he tries to live forever, he never will, but all the people that he killed will live forever.
Yeah.
That could have put the whole franchise in a nice bow. But we have it here, and I have a t-shirt of it, so there you go. But Ben's life, what's up?
The only thing I will say about that,
Please.
is in canon we have learned that it is something that they have to learn how to do. And there's no way Alia Secura knew how to do that.
Sure.
And Luminara and
but,
all that,
but Luke, Leia, Qui-Gon,
yeah.
Anakin, Obi-Wan, arguably Ahsoka, I could hear that argument.
For sure.
You know what I'm saying? And that's kind of what the panel does. Well, but I guess that's true. You're right. Ayla is front and center. But just to show. But I mean, Anakin didn't learn. He just did it because he's the chosen one.
Yeah.
Right.
True.
He didn't go through any training, and I think that. I don't know.
Maybe they pick out the consciousnesses in the worlds between worlds.
Well, but they've also changed because they've changed how it works sometimes because in one of the canon novels, Qui-Gon in Clone Wars, Qui-Gon tells Yoda he can't appear because he didn't finish his training before he passed, and then he's showing up in Obi-Wan and stuff. So they've established that it's fluid, and I hope that we never know how it works. That makes it, that's a mystery box I never want opened. Last couple likes, Ben's life flashing before Rey's eyes as he passes, and seeing the moment of Han and Leia holding him for the first time, wonderful. Leia and Luke talking as Force ghosts and kind of trash-talking each other was hilarious. And the added context on the last page of Rey taking the Skywalker name to stick it to Palpatine, just hearing his words, "So falls the last Skywalker." And she's like, "Nah.
Yeah.
That's my name, and I'm still here." You didn't really need that, but overall, lots of likes. And moving into our respectful dislikes, Zach, what you got?
Yeah, so there's a couple of things. There are parts of this movie that just don't, and this book, that just don't work. And
sure.
like this book tries to sweep them under the rug, like the whole Hux being the spy.
Literally gets killed off screen.
Yeah. It's like, ugh. Also, I love the actor, but I don't need that other admiral.
Yeah.
You know, I don't want to go into too many dislikes, but like, yeah, it's just the things that don't work in the movie don't work in this book because they don't work.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I honestly think that the last issue goes a little bit too fast.
Yeah.
It cuts a little bit too much. And the biggest disservice I think this book does actually is to Kylo. I don't feel like his arc works as well.
Okay.
I don't feel like you see it as easily. I mean, I love that we get the little extra of him fighting on Mustafar, and I love that we get the little extra here and there. But like once he's Ben Solo, it's like 2 pages, and then it's like done. You know.
Yeah.
So I just wanted a little bit. If you're gonna expand things. You know, like give me a little bit more of that. But these are all respectful. Like it's a great book. You know.
Oh yeah.
These are just my nitpicks.
Yeah.
Also, to take the moment of him being like, you know, and just turning it into a splash page almost didn't work for me. I was like, oh, I only know what that is because I've seen the movie. But if I haven't seen the movie, he's just like shrugging and has the lightsaber. I don't know. That whole last fight just was condensed too much for me. But, you know, that's just being nitpicky. Other things, I mean, I still hate that Rose is sidelined, even though that they do give her some more stuff. I think that they could have given Jana some more stuff too, if you're going to expand it, you know. I still have I think it's Mark Bernardin rewrote it on Fat Man being like, we all left because of you.
Because we heard that if she had said to Finn, he's like, why'd you leave? We heard about you.
Yeah. That still works so much better in my mind, and that's my headcanon, and then it didn't happen again. I'm like, come on. But yeah, overall I think my likes outweigh my dislikes, and
oh sure,
I don't have it was just like, again, like Snap dying, and you're like, okay, cool. Again, we barely gotten any time with that character. He dies off comic again. You see it in the movie, but Snap Wexley. It's like, oh, you only know about him if you've read the book, and then he's a little bit in Force Awakens, and that's about it. You know, it's like, it's a good actor. Give him some more stuff. So I don't know, little stuff here and there. What about you?
So respectful dislikes. There's some wonky art sometimes. It's rare, but there were a couple times that Rey did not look like a human.
Yeah.
There was one in particular in the fight on the second Death Star wreckage where her face is like contorted in a way that I was like, what? What were you trying to show here? How'd this get past editorial? I really didn't like this one line from Kylo in his inner monologue. I will finish what my grandfather started, destroying Palpatine once and for all. To which I'm like, no. Yeah. The whole thing was always that he wants to follow Vader's path, not Anakin's path. And I know that the way of the Sith is to kill the Master and take over, but I did not like that implication that he was acknowledging Vader as killing Palpatine. Yeah. Because what he's talking about in Force Awakens, I will finish what you started. I have the stones to do what you couldn't do. I'm going to kill my father when you couldn't kill your son. Mm-hmm. Right? That's filling in stuff, I think, from the Force Awakens novelization, but that's what they were getting at with I will finish what you started. So I just didn't really like that. More silly than a dislike, but the panel of Lando playing cards with the Aki Aki kids was really weird. Because it's like babies giggling as he's taking all their money, and I was like, that's a very strange implication on many levels to me. I just thought it was strange. Now I'm going to con these kids. Why didn't they cut They Fly Now? Of all things to cut. You had a really elegant opportunity to cut the stupidest line, in my opinion. It's just not funny, pointless, like, just cut it. I think it's absolutely hysterical that they killed Hux off screen. I thought that was so funny. It's this weird dislike. Rey, in this comic, Rey calls Luke Master. She does not call Leia Master.
I thought she does at the beginning.
Nope. Because I went back and I checked. She does in the movie. She does not call her Master. She talks about how she's trained her.
Weird.
And and then something I'm going to say, something else that I'm going to bring up in discussion points here in a minute. But she does not call her Master, and I thought that was just an odd choice. Yeah. But them's my dislikes. So discussion points or discussion questions. You got anything?
Yeah. I mean, the big one. Do you think it's better?
Oh, I was going to save that for closing thoughts.
Okay, never mind. Does anything in this comic not work for you? Like, just straight up.
Just a couple of stuff that I said. It's, if you haven't seen the movie, this comic makes no sense.
Yeah.
It does not explain anything.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Yeah.
But
I agree. I agree. To me, this book feels like context filler rather than a complete story.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, I wouldn't give this as a first introduction to this story. You know, I'd be like,
yeah, you have to have seen the movie. Yeah.
And then maybe read this, you know. But.
Yeah. Yeah, but, okay, so I got one. Rey, talking about Leia. She's never called herself a Jedi. Not that I've heard, anyway. So, do you think that's just Leia... Well, I guess I might have just answered it for myself. It's because Leia abandoned the Jedi path to protect Ben.
Yeah,
so
she
I
never
guess
completed her training.
And she just does not call herself a Jedi because she's not. She's trying to protect her kid. I just thought it was an interesting thing. Okay, yeah. You got another one?
Did you... I don't know, for me, I was like, okay, one of your most fun characters is Babu Frick, and you kind of cut him. Did you feel that as well, where you're like, I don't know, I missed a little Babu Frick?
Yes, but there were a lot of things that I'd missed, to be honest with you. We didn't have any of the banter between the big three. None of it. They cut it all out. They cut them hugging. And I was kind of like, huh, some choices being made. So, but I have a take that I'll get to in a minute as to why I think that was cut. But did you hate? Did you miss the Babu
I just kind of
Frick?
missed a little Babu Frick. Like,
Yeah.
just give me like a panel. Like, he was always in the background of a panel. Like, give me a intro panel and be like, hey. You know?
They didn't come back.
Yeah.
They didn't come back in the final battle, so for all we know, he got blown up. Yeah. We do know that was a very late addition to put him into Zori's cockpit because they were finishing the movie and then they went, oh my god, the puppet. Oh god, we've got to get him in here somehow.
Yeah, I also thought it was a big miss to... Zori Bliss was a miss in this comic for me.
That was literally my next question. Just in general, this is a discussion outside of this comic adaptation as well. Why does Zori Bliss exist? Why? Well, what does she add to the narrative outside of a setup for a Lando line later?
Yeah.
Why is she here?
Yeah.
Just, I'm asking. Why? You got a reason? I got a reason, but it's depressing.
The depressing reason is because people were shipping Poe and Finn, and they're like, no, we got to make Poe straight.
On the nose.
And I think that was the actual reaction.
Yeah.
But they don't even show her face. Like, they cast a big actress, and they don't even show her face.
I thought that was an interesting choice, and I can defend that in a way, only because it's kind of the unexpected thing. Yeah. Right? We're going to have her be, like, beautiful and alluring, but only at most give her eyes to use. I thought that was cool.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I think that I agree. The reason she exists is to prove that Poe Dameron is straight.
Yeah.
I never bought the... I never saw chemistry between Poe and Finn. I saw, like, if you wanted it to be there, cool. That's awesome. Yeah. I'm for that. But I thought they were bros being bros, and that was kind of the whole thing. And it was like, you can have platonic male friends, you know, like, anyway.
Yeah.
But okay, so in general, why the other comic adaptations came out within a year of the film.
Yeah.
This one came out 6 years later and is an issue shorter than the other two.
Huh.
All the other two were 6. This one was 5. It's entirely possible that it was going to be 6, and they were like, nah, you only get 5. Condense. And they were like, oh my god. And that's part of why the last one was so fast. But just in general, why do you think they took so long and made it so short?
I don't know. Like,
yeah.
I don't know why it's so short, because I think you could actually do 8 and still have it move and cook a little bit.
Yeah.
And fix more problems. But the 6 years later maybe they're just like, hey, we got to put something out, you know, like,
yeah.
But you got stuff coming out. I mean, like, there's a lot of Star Wars books out right now.
Yeah.
And it's not like a 5-year anniversary. It's not a 10-year anniversary. It's 6. So I really don't know. Maybe it's because the Rey movie is in such turmoil. They're like, hey, let's throw out a Rey thing so that we can buy some time. But
that's really possible. It's actually, that might, because we still haven't gotten like exclusive figures for this movie. Not that I'm an action figure collector, but I think it was so divisive. They just kind of wanted to take time away.
Yeah.
And let time heal quote unquote wounds. Not that movies cause wounds or real pain in any real way, but I think they just wanted to kind of have you forget about it for a bit. Yeah. Exactly like they did with the prequels when Disney first bought it. But people don't remember that now. And you could argue that wasn't warranted either. But I just think they wanted to wait. And then the biggest reason it came out at all could very well be that they were like, well, we thought a Rey movie was coming. Dang, let's put this out. Or maybe it was originally to coincide with the release of a Rey movie. And then they were like, well, let's just put it out on its own, I guess.
Leave it in the can, pop it out.
Yeah, it's ready. Yeah. Let's release this thing. But you know, the whole thing of like it was critically derided, this movie, but it was nowhere near as divisive as The Last Jedi, and they put a Last Jedi adaptation out.
Yeah.
You know, But okay, so I don't know why it was rushed and why it was delayed and shortened, but them's the facts. Closing thoughts, Zach.
Yeah.
Closing thoughts. Is this better than the movie?
I'm gonna say no because you need the movie. That's what I said earlier. It doesn't tell a complete story unless you've seen the movie.
Yeah.
So it only fills in gaps, and it just feels like a reminder to watch the movie. It's like, hey, remember this? And you're like, yeah, I didn't love it, but this makes it a little bit better. Maybe I'll go watch it again. You know?
Yeah.
But it's great. Like, I enjoy it. I'm glad it exists. I just don't think it's better than the movie because it doesn't stand on its own.
Yeah. 100%. If you haven't, no, it's not better. If you haven't seen the movie, this makes no sense. The Knights of Ren show up once for one panel to wrestle Chewie.
Which I also, it takes away the mystery.
Yep.
Like, why show it?
Sorry
that I missed.
Yeah. It's like if you have not seen the movie, you would have no idea what was going on. In a way, I like that because that makes it kind of this whole movie is a soft cover of Dark Empire. It just is, right? But and this felt reminiscent to that comic in where the art is mind-blowing. Splash pages are crazy, and that comic is all killer, no filler. We're going to move at 10,000 miles an hour, and we're going to do the most insane stuff we can think of, and we're not going to think about it. Yeah. And that's what this movie is, and that's what this comic is. And when it hits hard with splash pages, it hits hard.
Yeah.
There's lots of things that feel like 80s movie posters in this thing. But, all right, so moving on to something totally different, much lower stakes, and just fun.
Yeah.
Zach, your opening thoughts for Jedi Knights number 4.
I mean, I teased it 2 weeks ago, last week.
Yeah, 2 weeks ago.
It's great. It's so fun. It's exactly what I wanted this comic to be. I want little stories, Jedi stories, show us stuff we haven't seen before, and and this was a bounty hunter story in a Jedi Knights story, which is cool. I mean, Qui-Gon and Shakti kind of take a back seat to this cool bounty hunter, which I know the main bounty hunter that they're hunting has shown up in other media, but it was a first introduction for me.
Yeah.
And I thought they looked very cool. I was also wondering if she was the same race that they introduced in the new Star Wars comic, but I don't think she is.
Oh, she's not. That's the Nagai, and she's a Quaraxian.
Yeah. Which is cool, you know. She was savvy in a way that was cool. The Quaraxian, I looked them up after reading this comic, and I was like, they're cool. They live longer, they're smarter, they're more savvy. And I thought she proved herself as a bounty hunter for me in first introduction, you know, being like, oh, cool, she's smart. She's figured it out. She knows how to game the system, you know. And it was just cool to see Jango and the shape changer and all of them attack. Sorry, I'm getting into likes now, but I like this comic. Opening for you.
It was just fun. It was, don't think about it. It's fun to have one-off Jedi adventures monthly.
Yeah.
Like, we get so bogged, as Star Wars fans, we get so bogged down with canon implications of things. It's fun sometimes to, as childish as this sounds, just have some childish escapist fun.
Yeah.
Here's an adventure. Don't think about it too hard. It's just, there's this much depth going on here.
Yeah.
There's more depth than the Kaiju comic last month.
100%.
But it's a good time.
Yeah.
It's just a good time. So likes for Jedi Knights number 4.
Yeah, I mean, I've already started, so, you know, but yeah, I liked a lot of it. I like that we finally get to Nar Shaddaa, seeing it a little bit more. Not the way I really wanted it to look, but that's okay. It felt kind of generic city, but that's okay. They probably don't want to flesh out too much in a comic. And honestly, once we get Nar Shaddaa in a TV show or a movie, this is going to be thrown to the side. You know, they're going to do whatever they want. I think we almost got it in Acolyte, but I don't know. That kind of lives rent free in my head. That art for it, and I'm like, I kind of want that to be Nar Shaddaa. I want it to have its own, you know, unique system and look. I don't want it to be mini Coruscant, which is what this felt like. Sorry, that's a dislike. But yeah, no, it's fun. I like seeing bounty hunters do bounty hunter things. It was low stakes but high stakes for these characters. Low stakes for canon, high stakes for these characters.
Yeah, there you go.
It's fun to see people be savvy and fun, and it's cool to see Qui-Gon just kind of like be Qui-Gon,
being a Jedi.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But what about you?
I liked Phaedra. She was cool.
Yeah.
I liked that she used the Jedi. I thought that was cute. I loved the look of the Benelex Marshal, but I was also like, what is that? I don't know. Has this been around? I don't know. If you know, put it in the comments below. I have a question. The guy with the black helmet mask, and you can't see his face, they call him Bane at one point. Is that Cad Bane? And it's supposed to be a kind of a wink, if you know, you know? Or did I misinterpret what was happening?
I don't think it's Cad Bane.
Well, then are they
just another random bounty hunter?
With the name Bane?
I guess.
I'm not trying to make fun of you. I was just like, huh. I was like, are they trying to do a thing where it's going to be an unasking in a future issue? And that's Cad Bane. He's involved. Or maybe they said his name and I'm just dumb. But yeah, my likes were just overall that it was a good time and I didn't think about it too hard. It was like, oh, cool, fun. That was a good way to spend a half hour. Moving on. But so, what were you going to say?
No, go ahead.
Dislikes for Jedi Knights number 4. What do you got?
Yeah, I already kind of talked about it on accident. But Nar Shaddaa just kind of being generic Coruscant, I was like, come on.
Yeah.
Give me a little bit more.
That reminds me, it's your turn to talk, but I'm going to say something. If you want to see a cool comic representation of Nar Shaddaa, going back to early modern canon, the first long-running Star Wars comic, it's the series of issues where it's Luke, Han, and Leia and Chewie going up against Gracchus the Hutt. It looks awesome. Luke goes there, if I remember right, to ask about Jedi. He just goes walking into a bar. I'm here to learn about Jedi. And there's this great panel where they all look at him and they're like, kill him. It's really, really funny because it's just showing, love the character, but what a dummy Luke was at the beginning. He didn't know how to do anything. He's like, I'm going to go to a place where they know about the underworld. Tell me about Jedi.
Yeah.
And I was like, kill him. It was hilarious. And it's a really, really fun little adventure. But anyway, shutting up. It's your turn.
Yeah. Other dislikes. It's a long-running dislike for the series.
Okay.
And I'm conflicted of even calling it a dislike. Because I like it in one way, but dislike it in another. Where is the overarching story of this series?
Yeah.
You know, like, what is the point of these stories? Why are we telling them? Is it just fun? Because if so, like, that's great. You know, there's room for that. But we got, like, one little nod to the overarching story, which is that guy that Obi-Wan sees kill Qui-Gon is there.
Yeah.
With the Mortal Kombat mask. He's a Mortal Kombat character. It's so obvious.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like, I don't know. I just kind of want more depth out of this series sometimes.
Sure.
Because the last two issues have just been fun. But the Kaijura thing, I don't ever, like, we didn't need it. It was just fun. You know, like, but I want to move some story a little bit more. Would be my main dislike with the series so far. What about you? Dislikes?
They're very nitpicky. Yeah. But the panel of Qui-Gon Jinn and Shaak Ti Zoolandering at the amount of stolen money. They give him the number of money, and they're both like, they like mew, and I was like, again, how'd that get past editorial? Yeah. And then the thing about, like, they kept saying, we're not constables. It's like, then what are you? What do you mean you're not constables? Yeah. If you're not constables, then, like, and you're not part of the system, you don't completely act without oversight, though. So, what? I just thought it was weird. It was strange. And those were really my only dislikes. But moving into discussion points, I'm going to go ahead and say I only got one. Yeah. But so what this comic is, in my opinion, it is monthly, fun, turn your brain off Star Wars adventures with just fun Jedi doing fun Jedi stuff. But it is also every issue is going to tie into one of the things that Obi-Wan saw when he saw the future at the end of the first issue. So we've seen the kaiju, we're seeing the assassin running around doing stuff, we've seen Jango Fett now, we've seen Atha Prime. I thought that it was going to be the Jedi versus Atha Prime, and that does not appear to be the case. What's cool that this comic is doing is it is having a bunch of adventures that are opening doors for a bunch of other adventures, which is fun. If you're going to have wider continuity, don't step on other things. Give them new toys to play with.
Yeah.
That's really what it is. We're giving comics and wider canon new toys to play with in the pre-prequel era.
Yeah.
That's what it is. And ultimately, I guess that was also my closing thoughts. But so, you got a discussion point or any other thing to say in closing?
I do. Do you think anyone's going to cosplay the Benelux Marshal? Because that mask is so cool.
It is cool. It's just so simplistic. Just the gold with the red eyes. Maybe.
Yeah.
There's so much content now that you never know what's going to kind of break through and become, like, iconic.
Yeah.
But possibly.
Yeah, I also looked up the Benelux Marshal service.
Yes.
It also appears on Han Solo and Chewbacca.
Okay. All right. That checks out. And that's where Phaedra comes
10.
from.
Yeah.
That's where Phaedra comes from as well. Han Solo and Chewbacca is canon comic. It's the closest we're ever going to get to Solo 2.
Yeah.
It was a comic where it was just Han and Chewie going on monthly adventures.
Yeah.
You know, low stakes, high fun. That's what I would say.
Yeah.
But I think we did it, unless you got something else to say.
No. Again, this is like Matt said, it's a fun, easy read. If you're looking for something light and to turn your brain off, then this is the comic for you. New comic that I will probably talk about next week is the new Dr. Aphra run.
Ooh.
Which I'm very excited about. Dr. Aphra is one of my favorite characters to be introduced into comics, and I think they could get their own show, and it'd be super interesting. So I'm down for more Aphra. I actually own quite a few Aphra comics. So
yeah, Aphra's so fun.
Yeah.
You want to talk about she is a character that is high stakes and high fun, in my opinion, because she started out as kind of the Star Wars Indiana Jones and is now kind of the Star Wars anti-Indiana Jones, but her comics are always insane. Sometimes she's fighting sentient fungus. Sometimes she's fighting giant octopus monsters. Don't think about it too hard. Yeah. It's awesome. And because she's a character with no
Vader
baggage.
in there too. Yeah.
Yes. And because she's got no baggage, you can do anything with her. So anyway, that's recommending something else. But Zach, do you want to announce the contest that we're about to put out?
Yeah.
Okay, hit it.
Do you want to meet us? No. That
sounded the creepiest way. That could have been. I'm keeping this in. But we're going to hang a lantern on it. That was the creepiest. Okay. I wasn't saying to do it again.
We're going to be at Rebel ScumCon, and we have an extra ticket. So we are going to be giving that away. A shirt will come out probably this week, and we're going to give away a ticket. And you'll get to meet us and get into Rebel ScumCon at the
Frisco Conference Center, August 8th through 10th. Mm-hmm. Dallas has its own major Star Wars convention now. Sam Witwer's going to be there. Katie Sackhoff's going to be there.
Yeah.
There are lots of other Star Warsy people that are going to be there, but I can't remember their names right now, and I'll put them below this. But we have a 3-day pass. All 3 days for free. You just got to get yourself there, and we will put how to win that underneath on the short that we make.
Yeah. We're doing a giveaway, and you're going to get to meet us.
Yeah.
So.
Yes, keep your eyes open, and then we will announce that sometime. We will announce the winner on the show, and we'll let you know when that's going to be when we know when it's going to be. But keep your eyes peeled on our YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram feeds for the contest short.
Yeah.
But yeah, in the meantime, Zach, where can the people find you, and how can they get involved in what they just watched or listened to?
Yeah, best way to find me is to interact with the show. You can email us, forceofothersradio@gmail.com. We're on all the social medias. Get into the comments. We respond all the time. But yeah, we just want to interact with you. We want to learn about your perspectives on Star Wars. So wherever you can, interact with the show, and we'll interact back. Matt,
Right
where they
on.
can find you.
All the same places. I tweet sometimes, and then sometimes I don't. But yeah, I mean, get in the comments, send us emails, get involved in this stuff. I will be taking somewhat of a back seat potentially over the next 3 weeks because my work is going to get crazy. But I will probably show up in the form of interviews that we recorded months ago with friends of the podcast, friends that have been on the podcast. Right now in the can, we have an interview with Brian Lawson and an interview with Elliot Elaine Hayes. Both of them were our guest stars for our RPG one-shots. I'm going to get Travis Trimble recorded eventually.
Yeah.
Check out their Star Wars role-playing on the Order 66 episode and the Escape from Moshuda episode.
Yeah.
More RPGs to come later on. Not yet. They take a lot of time. But also, the last nerdy thing that I want to talk about, and this is news to Zach as well, soon, Superman is returning to screens.
Yeah.
And it's a Superman that I'm excited to see, and I will want to talk about that upon my return to the podcast. So we will potentially have we'll at least have a non-Star Wars discussion. I don't know about a whole episode, but I'm going to want to talk about the last son of Krypton.
We'll do the Force of Others and about others.
The Force of other stuff.
Yep.
It's actually... Okay, well, we punched it up. We did it.
Yeah.
All right, man, you got anything else?
No. Have a great week, and we will see you soon.
You can send them out, man.
Oh, and without further ado, and remember, the Force of Others will be with you.
Always.
The Force of Others, a Star Wars podcast.
I'm going to put that after the play out. Okay, cool.